Good morning. This is Desiree Dubois, and welcome, founder of An Empowered Woman and Homework. And what we do is today you'll be able to have the pleasure of joining us with coffee and conversations. And that's one of our member benefits. For those who are members of Homework, they get a chance to be able to share their services, their talents, their expertise to our community of women professionals and entrepreneurs. Today we have the pleasure is speaking with Shaune B. Arnold, attorney Shaune B. Arnold, and we'll be discussing to be or not to be virtual. Good morning, Shaune. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am doing wonderfully. I had a very short commute this morning from the bedroom to the living room. It was awesome.
It's awesome. It's
I
fantastic.
ran into a little traffic along the way, but I
I must
got
have been near the coffee spot.
they were
Yeah.
jammed up there at the pot.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it here. So thank you for joining us and sharing us your information. So you
Absolutely.
have an extensive background in law, more than I could actually share eloquently. Why don't you give us a little background?
Okay, well, I am transaction counsel. I am a business attorney. I work with entrepreneurs to help them start their business, to help them fix their business, and most importantly, to help them sunset their business. That's the one thing most entrepreneurs never think about until they're starting to have that heart attack or that stroke and they're realizing, how do I get out of this mess? So I work with entrepreneurs in every aspect of their business. And the beauty for me is I have been doing this from home for about 10 years. And so the rest of the world has joined me over the last 4 months or so. And I have been having conversations with a number of my clients, and it's gone something like this. Gee, I'm saving a lot of money working from home. I wonder if I really need to be paying all that rent downtown. I'm working with my employees and they seem to be doing okay working from home. I always felt that I needed to watch everyone, but I'm starting to think we can go virtual. I'm having that conversation over and over and over again. And so that's why we are here today. We want to talk about what it takes in order to successfully run a virtual business and what are some of the pitfalls that you will really have to avoid in order to do it successfully. So, just in terms of my being an attorney, there was a huge education that went on, not just with myself, but also with my partner and with a number of people that were working with us when we first went virtual. A number of people did not make that transition with us. There were a number of people where it really mattered what it looked like to them. They needed an office on high with a lot of real estate and a really great view. But here's the challenge. You have to pass that cost on to your clients. And a number of our clients really appreciate the fact that we haven't raised our rates in, probably 5 years. Most attorneys raise their rates every year. We haven't raised our rates because we don't need to, because we're able to actually work with our clients and keep our keep our hourly billings lower because of the fact that we're virtual. So yes, that did actually cost us in the short run. Some of our attorneys left. They were not interested in working from home. We had a number of employees that were more interested in not working from home. So every single day it was I've got an appointment over here. I've got to take my daughter over there. I've got to, they found a reason to not be at their computer at whatever o'clock in the morning they needed to be there to have meetings and to produce work. So for some people, it's very difficult. It's very difficult having that personal accountability. I was recently at Trader Joe's at about 11 o'clock in the morning, speaking through my mask to the cashier. And she asked, you know, what are you doing out? Why aren't you at work? And I said, well, I work from home, and I've been working since 6 o'clock this morning. I had to take a break. And she said, you work from home? What do you do? I said, I'm an attorney. She said, I couldn't do that. I could never work from home. I would never get it done. So here's the first rule of working at home. You have to make yourself accountable. You have to be able to understand on the second of the month that the 31st is coming, and that you need to produce your work product so that when the 31st gets here, you're not having a nasty stress. So it does take a twist in your mindset in terms of how you deal with yourself in the morning. It's true, I let myself just wake up in the morning, and I do not set appointments for 8 in the morning. I tend to set my appointments for mid-afternoon, mid-morning, so that I have time to sort of gather my day organically. You do tend to change how you do business. Your assistant, for example, will probably want to work at 2 in the morning to do some of those tasks. And it's true. The last time I saw my assistant was when I took her to Christmas dinner. But I talked to her every single day. I talked to her multiple times a day. And we have worked out a system where we are on Outlook. She is able to go into my email. She's able to go into my partner's email. And I'm able to get into everybody's email so that I can control the situation. I am the managing partner. We don't Zoom session very often. It's just not necessary because we know each other so well. My partner and I, he used to be my boss for, let's see, he hired me in 2005. And in 2016, we became a law firm together. So we've worked together for a very long time. And that really does help. But just know that everybody is going to have to go through that transition of self-accountability and accountability to one another, even though you can't be together and even though you can't see each other. So what does that look like when I work with my assistant? Basically, I will either send her a text or I will send her an email so that she has something in writing that tells her what I need and tells her when I need it. Now, let me get into the legalities of this just a little bit now, because when you start dealing with employees, people that you've hired, everybody wants to have independent contractors. Most people do not want to hire employees. And so part of the conversations that I'm having with my clients is, wait a minute, my assistant is now working from home. My assistant does not answer my phones anymore. I answer my phones. My assistant shows up when she wants to, and when I send her an email that says, I need I need an item from you, and I need it on Thursday because I've got a meeting at 2 o'clock. I'm not there to watch her. I'm not there to micromanage how she does it. Isn't she now functioning as an independent contractor? Well, I'll tell you, you can go to irs.gov and they've got the answer for you right there on their website. They have a 6-prong test that tells you whether that person that you're dealing with is an independent contractor or an employee. And the mere fact that they are now working from home is not that dividing line. It's one very important dividing line, because not only does my assistant work from home, I don't supervise her. I just tell her, I need you to make such and such a phone call. I need you to uh, make, do a task. And she gives it to me in completed fashion. And so a lot of people will buck with that and say, "Now wait a minute. Why am I withholding uh, everything from her paycheck if I am no longer able to tell her you have to be here at 8 and you have to be here until 5?" Well, let's look at that test. What is the IRS actually looking at to see whether that person you've sent home can be newly classified as an independent contractor? Well, they are going to look at their hours. Even though my assistant is not sitting in front of me from 8 to 5, we are still running a law firm. And that means that she does need to be available to us during the day, because we have client matters that we need to deal with. We're dealing with city halls, we're dealing with filings, we're dealing with businesses that are open during the day. So there is a certain amount of her job that simply needs to be done during the day. The key is I'm not there watching her. I also do not give her her tools of the trade. She has a computer. She has a telephone. Those are pretty much her tools of the trade, and probably a file cabinet. I didn't give any of those things to her. She maintains them all on her own. If her computer goes down, I give her a shout out and tell her I'll see you when you get back virtually from Best Buy. She buys her own computer if it goes out. So she's not being controlled. She's not being micromanaged. She's not being given her tools of the trade. One other very important point: she has never, because she's always been virtual for us, because I've been virtual for 10 years. When I brought her on, it was as a virtual assistant. She has other clients. That's extremely important. My assistant is in the business of being an assistant. So even though she does a lot for me on a daily basis, and she's been with me for about 3 years, the IRS would look at that. How long is that gig? Is it 6 months or is it 6 years? Because if it's 6 years, why is this not an employee of yours? Well, she has other clients. The name of her business is Out of Sight Assistance. Isn't that cute? I think it's adorable. And yes, she has other clients. That's extremely important, because the IRS is going to look at not just my business to see whether my business is a going concern that is using her either as an employee or as an independent contractor, but they're also going to look at her business and they're going to say, well, how much time do you spend on Shaune's business? How much time in a day? How much time in a week? How much time in a month? And how long have you been doing this? And so if all they do is you're going to have a harder time convincing the IRS that this is not your employee. So you're really looking at the totality of the relationship. You're looking at how she gets paid. My assistant has never received a paycheck every 2 weeks. At the end of the month, she gives me an invoice that itemizes what she did for me and how much time she spent on those tasks. Now, she's so important to me. I don't fuss. I just pay the woman. I don't even read it. If it's within a certain window, I don't even look at it. I just give the woman a check. But the important thing is she's not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. Every single month, the check that I write her is for a different amount, because she did different tasks for me every single month. So when I write her that check, she is in charge of paying the IRS herself. I do not withhold anything from her check. I do not pay her health insurance, although I helped her get it. When my partner and I got our health insurance, we used our collective bargaining ability and pulled her into the fold so that she could get health insurance for her company as well. So we do tend to work together as a group like that. But all of us have that entrepreneur mindset, and that's extremely important because when you have people who are working from home, it's extremely important that you have people who really do know how to do that. They really do know how to make that shift to producing what they need to produce and understanding that, okay, I'm going to work until 2 o'clock in the morning because there's just so much going on right now. But I know that so and so asked me to get them that thing because they've got a 10 o'clock meeting. I've got to get up. I've got to get that thing done. So these are the people that you need to be doing business with. And chances are your team is going to change a little bit along the way because some people just cannot handle it. Some people, it's very important to them what it looks like. It's very important to them that they have an office. So think about the tools that you need in order to make it really, really comfortable for you and for the people that you're working with to be able to work as a cohesive unit. What is it that allows my team to function together? Well, we have a virtual meeting, a virtual staff meeting at 10 o'clock every Monday morning and at 10 o'clock every Thursday morning. We talk twice a week as a group. We also have a printout of all of our client matters, everything that is a moving part in our business. And we sit down and each one of us prints out that report. And we go from the top of the report to the bottom of the last page of that report. And we talk about every single case file that we have. We talk about everything that needs to be done. We talk about deadlines that are coming up. And we talk about who's in charge of getting tasks done so that we don't wind up with things just spinning out in space and I thought you were doing that. Oh, I thought you were doing that. We make sure that everybody is aware of everything everybody is supposed to be doing. So even though we are all very much on our own, I know what my partner's doing today. I know what my assistant is doing today, even though I'm not with them. So weekly, phone calls every few days help us. Sometimes we can get away with just one meeting a week. That helps. It also helps that we are all on the same email system. We are on Outlook. GoDaddy has some amazing tools for virtual businesses. They have amazing tools for you to be able to bring your team together and work separately. We have someone here who's in Alberta, Canada. We have someone here who's in Los Angeles. We have someone here who's in San Diego. And all three of us would be able to work seamlessly if we were all working in the same software. So consider what your software is and how you might all be on the same page, even though you're remote from one another, because I can get into my partner's email. He can get into my email. I can get into my assistant's email and vice versa. We can all function and support one another, even though we are not physically together. So let's then talk about how that might change some of the nuts and bolts of how you do business. Some of us are just very used to the brick and mortar setup, and we feel sort of at loose ends being virtual, being at home, not having that team together. We do see that we have the ability to save a lot of money in not having that rent. So, how do we handle that as a law firm? We have an executive suite. We have an office in the largest building in downtown Los Angeles, the big round one, and we're on the 28th floor. When the elevator opens, there's our logo. It looks like we're there. My assistant tells me our offices are lovely. Actually, I have been there. I was there once. They've been our offices for 3 years. I went once. We have a beautiful conference room. You can see the ocean from downtown Los Angeles. It's gorgeous. Like, this is a place you would really want to be. But I'm 57 years old. I am not trying to squeeze myself into a monkey suit and go downtown anymore. I just have a different mindset now. I do not want to work in an office. So I don't go down there. My assistant goes down once a week. She picks up our mail and then she scans it to us. And once a quarter, she generally comes to my home and does the physical filing. So we work together with a virtual network that allows us to get into each other's systems, to keep each other accountable, and to physically support one another when we need to do that. But we've given up that large rent. We pay $145 a month for rent in the biggest building in downtown Los Angeles on the 28th floor. When we need it, we can rent an office. We've done it twice in 4 years because we were doing a big RFP response and we needed to be physically together. And it was because we were new. It was because we were new and we were nervous and we felt we needed to be together. When we did our next RFP response, we set up virtual war rooms. I have not seen my partner or my assistant since Christmas. We get more and more comfortable with the fact that we can remain connected. We can remain accountable, but we can drop things like $50,000 a month in rent. Can you imagine how stressed out we would be? Can you imagine how stressed out our clients would be? Because we would be passing those costs on to them. We would be billing, we would be living to bill like most law firms do, but we don't. We live to live. My partner is getting ready to go to the Galapagos with one of his children on a school trip if they don't cancel it. That's the kind of lifestyle that you can live when you trust yourself and you trust your people to go virtual. So things like rent will change. Your taxes may change if you find that you are reclassifying employees to independent contractors. Those taxes might change. Your insurance might change as well. Because if you don't have a brick and mortar store anymore, you're not going to have CGL insurance, commercial general liability insurance. But you might want to think about different types of insurance. For example, pardon me for just a moment, please. For example, my partner and I have key person insurance because of the fact that we are virtual and we do move around quite a bit. He was in Thailand when we got locked down. He got home in May. we ran our law firm internationally for 2 solid months. And the only way we were able to actually do that successfully is the fact that we had this virtual network set up already. And we had that confidence where we just didn't fall apart because he was in Thailand and he could not get home. He refused because he was doing a deal. And I called him up. I said, Tal, you got to get on that airplane. He said, yeah, but I'm doing a deal. So his plane his plane took off without him. Then the State Department called him and said, you got to get out of Thailand. We're going to lock it down. He said, I'm doing a deal. And he wound up getting himself locked down for 2 solid months in a foreign country. Now, could your business survive that? Could your business team survive that? Could you go virtual and know that everybody has that sense of accountability and has that sense of supporting one another so that you can do that? When you get that, you will be shocked. You will be shocked at how easy it is to just let go of that brick and mortar nonsense that we've all been taught. You know, here's the thing. If Los Angeles businesses determined that they could go virtual, imagine what we could do with those towers. We could convert those towers into affordable housing. California has an amazing housing crunch right now and a bunch of offices that we don't need. Come on, people, go home. Everybody go virtual and let's convert some towers into affordable housing. There's a lot of things that we can do. And now that everybody's on lockdown, we have the freedom to think about it. I mean, you've been home for 4 months now. Most of us didn't think we could make it for 2 weeks. And yet we're finding that we can do it. So yeah, you might have to change those insurance products. We have key person insurance. Each one of us has long-term care insurance and health insurance. And then we have our regular malpractice insurance. So when you go virtual, you will find that insurance is probably going to be your biggest monthly expense, and pay the man. I'm always happy to pay taxes and insurance because that means I'm making money. So this is what I'm saying to you today is this is really a matter of re-educating yourself that you can do it, re-educating your clients that they don't need you to have that fancy office with the fancy rent. Most of the time that I have to actually see my clients, I go to their office. They don't come to mine. Most of the time that I was physically in a tower and we were paying big rent, my clients never came to the office. When my clients on rare occasions did come to the office, they would be amazed at my view. And I would kind of turn around and stare out the window and I'd recognize it and go, wow, you know, I haven't looked out that window in 6 months. I didn't even recognize the view. So think about it. Think about how you are structuring your business. And are you structuring that business the way you were told to structure your business? Because this ain't your mama's economy anymore. Things are different. We need to consider, are we going to be like this for the rest of the year? See, coronavirus is not going away anytime soon. Our curve has flattened, but that's because it's going down in some places and up in others. We are the world epicenter of this coronavirus pandemic. It's going to be with us for a while. And so we really do need to have these conversations with ourselves and with our team to determine how we can keep from being one of those 95% of businesses that are out of business in 5 years. 40 million people are out of work. I don't happen to think that's necessary. I happen to think that a number of the businesses that even law firms, I'm talking to friends of mine who are assistants in law firms, they've been laid off. Why? Because the law firm doesn't understand it can make that transition. It doesn't understand. The first thing they did after 2 months was go back to their office and hire back a skeleton crew. So they're still paying that rent. And yet half their team is suffering when they could go home, give up the lease, and keep their entire team working. So think about those issues. I encourage you to think about the ways that rather than being frightened by the position that we're in, think of the opportunity that this provides to you, the opportunity that this provides to your team, and the opportunity that this provides to re-educate your client base and your industry to homework
Yay.
instead of office work.
Where you can live
Desiree,
where you work, work where you live, anywhere in the world.
yes,
Awesome.
indeed.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Shaune. That was so much. I mean, it is a change, and there are a lot of different things that ladies have to think about. And I know that a lot of people, you refer to the office rent, but a lot of people have told me, like one company said they spent $14,000 a month just on coffee. They had a very large, they say they realized that they saved 14,000, and then they're parking. So it's not the parking, the coffee, the incidentals, the traffic going there, the lunch,
Cleaners bills,
dinners, lunches,
lunches.
the bonuses. And what they've done instead is that they've given all of their team a bonus. They've given them a bonus. They've given them a half. They've doubled. They gave them half of a raise to work from home because they want to pass on those savings to their team, which is great. So the team is just delighted to be able to work from home, and now they get 50% more than they were getting before, and they're
Mhm.
saving costs of cleaning bills and lunch and travel and traffic and cars and all that good stuff. So
So you can consider all that stuff that you're spending money on. If you're thinking, I can't go virtual, what are you spending money on that you can just sort of shift those dollars into your virtual team, into your network instead?
hmm Yes, exactly. Yes, and like you said, you start getting that's much more disciplined. You start getting your systems better. You start finding management tools like we use Trello. But some people use Trello or Asana or Slack to get certain tools in so that it actually becomes more cohesive and more effective because now people are more, and accountability. More people are just concerned about making sure that it's done, not necessarily how you get it done or when you get it done. If you have a reliable team, it's just a matter of when you get it done, just getting it done. And so it's more performance
Yeah,
based, than it is
absolutely.
based. Which is,
Now, for those of us that are control freaks, and you know who you are, this is going to be an enormously difficult transition because your natural inclination is to wander the floor and watch your people and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. But when we all go virtual, we start to understand it's a different world than where we come from.
mhm. And to some people, that's very, very, very difficult, put it that way, because they're concerned. They're concerned about, again, are they spending time on the internet? Are they spending time going to the bank in the middle of the day? Are they are they doing laundry? So I
And
think
here's the thing, it doesn't matter. You will find it doesn't matter. Let your assistant play on the internet all day as long as she's willing to work all night and get you that report you need by the time you need it.
Mhm.
You've it's sort of like being a parent of a teenager. Not that I'm a parent of a teenager, so I wouldn't know. So Desiree, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's sort of like being a parent of a teenager, and not only are you concerned about their ability to go out in the world and function and not mess it up, but you've also got these apron strings that you forcibly tied around that child on the day they were born. And they have been ripping at those strings for the last few years. And you've been fisticuffing with each other to keep those strings tied. But you have to release them if you are going to have a successful young adult. If you are going to have a successful virtual assistant, You have to release those ties and let them be. Let them be great.
Let them be, okay. But again, it's a great a way to be able to really see the effectiveness of your people, because again, either they're able to get it done or not, and then you're able to see how much controlling you needed to be, like how much part, sometimes you don't realize how involved you are in their completing their tasks because you're there and you're able to coach them and talk to them, whatever. Where now it's just like, okay, here's the task, can you get it done? And whether it's, from all different, levels, whether it's your higher, C level, or whether it's someone that's in the lower level, your assistants. Okay, so that's, thank you for all that information.